In this video, we're going to talk about large numbers in Spanish. By large, I mean everything from 100 up. By now, you should know the numbers 0 through 100, so we're not going to look at those again. You should remember that 100 is cien. Starting with 101, however, instead of just cien, we call this ciento, and then we add the other numbers, 101, 102, 102, and so forth. And we'll follow that same pattern all the way up through 199, 199. Starting with 200, we follow that pattern of using ciento. So we have 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and 900. Notice that these all end with s. That's because it's more than 100, so it's plural. There's not too much to mention here, except we do see a few unusual spellings. 500, make sure that you get that down correctly. 700, not 700, we lose the I here from siete. And 900 instead of 900. So make sure that you get all of these copied down correctly into your notes. Our pattern for making the numbers in between is going to be exactly what we've seen before. So for instance, here we have 754. We just take what we've learned and we combine it to make these other numbers. After 900, we get to 1000. 1000 is 1000. Again, we're going to follow the same pattern if we're writing out bigger numbers. For instance, 1847. Notice that in English we use a comma to separate the 1000 from the other digits. In many Spanish-speaking countries they use a period instead of a comma, and in fact the decimal point that we would normally have before decimal places is often replaced by a comma in those Spanish-speaking countries. That's not a universal practice in Spanish-speaking countries, but you should be aware of it. So whereas we as English speakers would expect to see this, it's not uncommon to see it this way instead. You should be aware of that even though it's not universal throughout the Spanish-speaking world. Now I've added in our decimal point. Again, remember that this is 1000, not 1.000. And you see that we follow a very simple pattern. 2000, 3000, 4000, 27000, 369,000. Nothing difficult here with the thousands. As long as we're in the thousands, it should be mentioned that this is how we talk about years. So for instance, I'm recording this video in the year what we would call 2013 or 2013. In Spanish, that would be 2013. Getting to bigger numbers, we see that 1 million is un millón, 2 million is dos millones. Our rules for stress tell us that since we've added a new syllable that ends with s, we can lose the accent mark here on millones. It should also be mentioned that when talking about thousands or anything lower than that, we don't need to include any other words besides the number and whatever we're describing. For instance, 1,000 people would be 1000 personas, but starting with a million, we do need the word de. So 1 million people would be un millón de personas, a million of people. It's just the way it's said in Spanish. And we won't go any higher than the billions, but to talk about 1 billion in Spanish would be 1000 millones, literally 1,000 millions. 2 billion would be 2,000 millones, and so forth. Again, to make larger forms, we would just follow the same rules that we've used before. For instance, here we have 38,930,842,919. Very unlikely, of course, that you'll be using numbers that big, but now at least you can.